What's up guys, I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the ball joints on your Polaris RZR XP 1000. It's going to be a similar process for the 2-seaters, the 4-seaters, or pretty much any Polaris side-by-side. And the replacement option we're using today is the Tusk Ultra Heavy Duty ball joints. Now what's nice about these is, besides being a great replacement option for a stock ball joint, they're a little tougher as well. And if you ever get play in these, you can simply take these apart, re-grease them, and adjust that play out. So some nice features with that. Now, as far as replacement goes, it's a straightforward process. So let's go ahead and get started. To do this job, we're using some common hand tools, including metric sockets. Now, ideally, you would have a shop press to get the old ball joint out and press the new one in. But we're going to show you a way to do this that anyone can do it at their house. So we've got 3/4 inch drive, 1.5 inch socket, or you could use a 1.5 inch inside diameter pipe along with a 29mm socket, and we're also using a mini sledge along with that. Now, other than that, we're using a 21/64 inch drill bit, a rivet gun, snap ring pliers, safety glasses. Polaris does recommend replacing the hardware when you take it out, and that's why instead of doing that, we're actually going to use some Loctite when we go back together. To check for play in your ball joint, you're going to raise your machine off the ground and grab the tire from top to bottom, rock it back and forth, and feel for any play. If there's any play, the ball joint is bad and needs to be replaced. Now we can remove our wheel. Then we're going to start with the upper A-arm, so we'll drill out those 2 rivets. Then we'll remove the clips holding the brake line. Next, we'll remove the lower mounting bolt for the shock and strap the shock out of the way. Disconnect the link arm. Then we'll remove the ball joint pinch bolt. Then I'm going to pull up on the A-arm and hit the bearing carrier with the mallet to separate the ball joint. And last, we have 2 mounting bolts for the A-arm. We're going to take those out and bring the A-arm over to the bench. Now to remove the ball joint, we need to remove this snap ring right here. So with the snap ring out, we can drive out the ball joint. So to do that, you just need to make sure you support the A-arm right here around the ball joint and that it won't get hung up on whatever's supporting it. So we're going to set this on our socket and use our hammer to drive it out. I'm going to wipe it down, and I'm going to put just a little bit of grease in here. Now we've got our new Tusk Ultra Heavy Duty ball joint. I'm going to put just a thin film of grease on that mounting surface as well. That's just going to keep everything from binding up when it goes together. You're also going to want to make sure you have your A-arm in the correct orientation when you install this. So we're going in from the top with that shock mount facing up on this upper A-arm. So I'm going to press that in as far as I can by hand, and then I'm using that 29mm socket to drive it in place with the 1.5 inch socket supporting the A-arm. So on this other side, you want to make sure the snap ring groove is fully exposed all the way around and that this has been driven in straight. Once you've verified that, you want to take your new snap ring. We've got the sharp edge facing up right now, and we're going to set it in place. So once you've verified the snap ring's all the way seated in its groove, from here you can go ahead and reinstall the A-arm back onto the machine. But since we do have this Tusk Ultra Heavy Duty ball joint, I'm going to show you how to service it for future reference. So in the future, if you ever want to re-grease this, or if you have some play in there and need to adjust it out, this is what you're going to do. You do have that grease zerk on top if you just want to pump some in there. But what we're going to do is actually take this apart. So we've got that snap ring on there, and the easiest way for us to take that off is with these snap ring pliers. We're going to work that off. You've got a pin in the top. We'll pull that out with a pick. And you can use needle nose pliers or these snap ring pliers to rotate the cap. So we're just going to take that all the way out. And the cool part about this is if you need to service this, you can do it all without ever removing the A-arm from the machine. So I've got the cap off. We're gonna press this joint up. We're gonna wipe everything off and then re-grease it and reassemble it. One more wiping down in here. Okay, when you install that, you can hear all that air. I'm just going to help relieve some of that pressure out of the boot. So when you install the cap, you're going to tighten it all the way down, compress the grease. Once you have that tightened down to where it's a little bit snug, I'm going to back it off about a half a turn. Then I'm going to re-snug this down, but I'm just going to go to where it's barely snug, so it just stops on its own right about there. On the other side, we've got that pinhole right there. So you'll notice these notches don't quite line up with the pinhole. So what you got to do is back this off one notch once it's tight. And after that, we can reinstall the pin and the snap ring. Since we're in here, I'm going to go ahead and re-grease all my bushings as well. When you reinstall your A-arm, Polaris does recommend replacing your hardware. The nylock nuts are designed for single use, but we're just going to use some blue Loctite on them just to make sure they don't come loose. And as you go together, you want to make sure the notch in the ball joint is lined up with that pinch bolt. Other than that, the link arm is going to be torqued to 40 foot-pounds and the remaining bolts will be torqued to 42 foot-pounds. Don't forget to replace your rivets and zip tie for the brake line. Now replacing the lower ball joint is going to be a similar process. Loosen up the pinch bolt to free up the joint. Remove the two mounting bolts. Take the shock mounting bolt back out, and then you can remove your A-arm so you can bring it over to the table just like before. So once you have the ball joint replaced, you'll go ahead and reinstall the A-arm. Just keep in mind, we've got that upper shock, that lower mounting bolt is moved out of the way, and all of this hardware is going to be torqued to 42 foot-pounds, including that lower shock mounting bolt. And the last thing we need to do is reinstall our wheel. And that's how you replace the ball joints on your Polaris RZR XP 1000. If you have any questions about the process, leave those down in the comments below. And if you need new ball joints, those are available on our website, so go check that out and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Thanks for watching.